All right, Shalom. I'd like to start out by saying Kal Halayim La Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Harakak Wadash Ma'amah. Double honors to the elder apostles, the great millstone, and my elder Herawan as well. Salutation to the Akim that are pushing the truth and sincerity and truth. And peace and blessings to the men, women, and children that believed in the name of Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai. All right, it says China threatens countries will have their heads bashed bloody during the 100th anniversary of Communist Party speech. Here's why. All right. As you can see from the clip I played earlier, they painted the narrative as if China was the bad guy or the bully, but when what China is expressing is the other way around. Um, right there at the end, they were talking about, well, there's one person that said that came forward about them being enslaved in China, being sold into slavery in China. But what about what America has done to our people? Let's talk about that. But they don't want to talk about that. Let's talk about the riot in Philadelphia that happened this past weekend on so-called Independence Day for the United States, the colonial United States, which had nothing to do with our people, because our people were still in bondage. Our people are still in slavery right now. And we don't have rights. We're still counted as fifth thirds of a man. Those are the things that we have. Get that shit off my fucking. Anyway, those are the things that we have to deal with in this country on any given day. China's not killing the police in China are not killing minorities. That's not what's happening. It is what it is. So I just want to go into this article a little bit. Just went off on a rant, but they were trying to paint the narrative as if China was the one that's being the overpowering aggressor and manipulating individuals into partaking in their ways. But no, it's the other way around. It's America. It's America that's imposing its will on the nations and causing the nations to partake in the fornications of America. Thus, Babylon the Great, which is the great whore, daughter of Babylon, being America. All right. It says, the article says, as China celebrated the 100th anniversary of the founding of its ruling Chinese Communist Party, CCP, on Thursday, Chairman Xi Jinping vowed that China will not be bullied by foreign powers, that those who attempt it will have their heads bashed bloody. And that's just them getting up to that fed up point, because they've been fooled by America with the dollar for so long. And now in that foolish state, they became, realized that the oppression that they were dealing with and how they were being bamboozled with the American dollar and being bullied with the American dollar. So within that, they were boastful within that, and so them partaking in the riches of America, building America, the infrastructure of America, they found out towards the end that they were being fooled the whole time, being strung along, and that the way that they were going, the American way, is not the way. So now they're trying to revert back into the old communist Chinese party, going back to their own social values, and they're trying to take all the smaller countries that the United States have taken territory over. They're trying to annex them back, dealing with places like Taiwan. All right. It says the Chinese people have never bullied, oppressed, or enslaved the people of the other countries. I'm gonna just say X. X said, according to remarks translated by the Washington Post. At the same time, the Chinese people will never allow any foreign forces to bully, oppress, or enslave us. That's not a lie, because that's a lie, because America's been doing it for so long, as long as China and America's been allies. Anyone who dares try to do that will have their heads bashed bloody against a great wall of steel forged by over 1.4 million Chinese people. For them to have birth restrictions, they got a lot of people over there, but that's on another topic. But X criticized China's rapid military buildup, characterized China's rapid military buildup in recent years as a construction of a force for peace in the world, the New York Times reported. All right, so peace from what? Peace from the hammer of the earth, being America. All right, it says X also said China is seeking a peaceful reunification with the islands of Taiwan, which governs itself as an independent nation, but which China also claims as part of its territory. During his remarks, the Chinese leader warned against schemes to help Taiwan maintain its independence from China. X warnings about Taiwan come after China criticized a June visit to Taiwan by 3 U.S. senators and began practicing amphibious landing drills on the beaches of China, Fujian province, across the Taiwan Strait from Taiwan. Chinese People Liberation Army Senior Colonel Wu Quang called the June visit as an abominable political provocation that challenges the one China principle, and said China's PLA will resolutely defend any attempt by the secessionists to separate Taiwan from China and safeguard national unity and the terror integrity at all costs. According to Reuters, during his Thursday speaks, X also said all sons and daughters of China, including compatriots on both sides of Taiwan Strait, must work together and move forward to in solidarity, resultly smashing any Taiwan independent plots. All right, so that's a key. This is a key statement right here. It says also all sons and daughters of China. It's not talking about the people. It's talking about the It's talking about the It's talking about the other countries that followed behind China and started being governed according to American way and being manipulated by the dollar. All right, so now this is what you're seeing happening when China's being, and these other countries are going to follow suit when they realize that they've been fooled by the American dollar. And with that being foolish, when they're being fooled by the American dollar, matter of fact, I want to get a scripture real quick. So now they realize they've been bamboozled by nothing. So they boast in America. They boast in the dollar. They help make America rich. Now they partook in the fornications of America, started Americanizing the people, started going differently from their customs. Now they're trying to revert back to it because they realize they've been fools, right? All right. This is Jeremiah chapter 51, verse 7. It says, Babylon have been a golden cup in the Lord's hand. Right, a golden cup, decked in jewels. And really, just like, you know what I'm saying, all the individuals, the nations that follow after her are following after wickedness. Babylon was an example of what wickedness is, just like how America is. All right, it says, Babylon has been a golden cup. Jeremiah 51 and 7. It says, Babylon has been a golden cup in Yahweh's hand, that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. All right. Now I'm curious what this is. All right, that's not right. All right, so now, therefore the nations are mad. It says to shine, to praise, boast, be boastful. All right. It says to be praised. All right. So a primitive root, halal, a primitive root, to be clear, sound, but usually of color, to shine, hence to make and show, to boast, and thus to be clamorously foolish. All right. So now, boom. So what's happened? Just like how they said, how our women today are foolish and clamorous, because why? They boast in the gifts that Esau has been giving them, right? So they walk around, I don't need no man, ha ha ha, bragging and boasting. But at the end of the day, they're gonna realize they're foolish because they've been partaking and they let Esau build their head up by giving them, you know what I'm saying, food stamps and shit and child support to turn them against their foundation or against their head, being the man of Israel, right? And then the men are turning the women, right? So now they all are boasting in the glory of the freedom that America has given them, right? But now they're going to realize they become mad, meaning to make a fool, right? So going down here, it says to make a fool and to make into a fool. All right. So that's what these other nations have been made into, a fool, man. Foolish. And so now they're upset and pissed off because they've been turned into fools. So they have drunk, reading it again. Babylon has been a golden cup, an example of wickedness. All right, but looks like polished and pretty. And Yahweh's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad, meaning they're foolish, man. They're foolish. So now with China realizing they've been fooled by the American dollar, and they've been fooled by the economy, and understanding that their way of they've been falling behind that pursuit of happiness that America has showed them, and everything that America has done, China has followed behind it, and in retrospect, falling behind and doing and partaking in the same ways that America has done. All right, so going to Second Ezra chapter 15, verse 46, it says, "And thou, Asia, that art partaker of the hope of Babylon." All right, going back to what it says in 51:7, it says that Babylon has been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. All right, all the earth drunken. All right, to become drunk, to cause to be drunk. And how did he cause them to be drunk? Habakkuk chapter 2, it says, "Though he does transgress by wine, he is a proud man." All right, so he's been making these nations drunk off the dollar, man. The main philosophy that any philosophy that's created in America or that's presented in America all has to do with the dollar. All right, their religion has to do with the dollar. The military has to do with the dollar. Economical system has to mainly do with the dollar. Everything is surrounded by the dollar. So all these nations have drunk on the fornication and become mad, meaning drunk and foolish, because they're drunk off the Babylonian juice. All right. So now that's why all these nations are going to be well her when she falls, because now they're so foolish and they're foolish with them being fooled like that. When they see America fall, a lot of these countries are going to be like, what are we going to do now? We have no place of refuge because a lot of people depend on America. But you see China trying to resort back to their old ways to try to come out of that drunken state, because they no longer want to be fooled by the dollar and by the infrastructure of America. All right, so now it says it's like at 2 Ezra chapter 15, verse 46, it says, "And thou, Asia, that art partaker of the hope of Babylon," meaning China is the one that made Babylon rich, all right, "and art the glory of her persons," all right. It says, "Woe be unto thee, woe be unto thee," right? So the Lord is against China, because China feels like them pulling back from the dollar and them pulling back from the philosophies of Babylon, that they can reestablish themselves and reinvent themselves and be the next superpower that's on the earth. All right. And so like it says, so going back to verse 46, it says, "And thou, Asia, that are partakers in the hope of Babylon, help America get rich, and art the glory of her persons," right? So they become glorified by trying to be like Babylon. All right. It says, "Woe be unto thee, thou wretch, because thou hast made thyself like unto her." Right. All right. "And has decked thy daughters in whoredoms." All right. So that's going back to the article right there, because what China did, what China has been doing, has been causing anybody that's up under their umbrella to be partakers in the foolishness dealing with the dollar. So they've also caused them to be fooled also. So going back to the article, it says, according to Reuters, during this Thursday speech, Psy or whatever that says X also said all sons and daughters of China, including compatriots on both sides of the Taiwan Strait, must work together and move forward in solidarity, resultly smashing away Taiwan independence plot. Smashing any Taiwan independent plots. All right. So now, so so basically trying to revert the minds of anyone that partake in the foolishness of Babylon. All right, it says on Thursday, X said nobody should underestimate the staunch determination, firm with a powerful capacity of the Chinese people to depend national sovereignty on territorial integrity. All right, it says the people of China are not only good at destroying the old world, meaning the old way of thinking, dealing with the dollar, they have also created a new world, the new world order. Only socialism can save China. All right. So now they're saying they're going for the people. They're no longer doing it for America and the dollar. Now they're going to try to resort to doing it for the people. That's socialism. All right. It says X also called on China to accelerate the modernization of national defense and the armed forces. Regarding Hong Kong, X said China will stay true to the letter and spirit of the principle of one country, two systems, under which the two Chinese territories are to retain a high degree of autonomy. X said that this despite China passing and starting enforcement of new national security legislation over Hong Kong exactly 1 year ago on July 1st, 2020. Hong Kong security legislation banned broadly defined activities such as sedition, subversion, and succession against the Chinese government. All right, so now they're not going to resort. The dollar's not going to keep Hong Kong or China happy anymore. All right, it says Hong Kong. Last year, Hong Kongers were warned that those who shouted pro-independence slogans could be charged under the new national security laws. This year, multiple Hong Kong activists were also arrested for promoting candlelight vigils commemorating the 32nd annual of when PLA troops violently dispersed activations in Tiananmen Square in a deadly event commonly referred to as the Tiananmen Square Massacre. The Tiananmen Square Massacre is already heavily censored in China. All right, so now that's just going into some other stuff. I think that's the end of the article. Yeah, that's the end of the article. So basically, China is trying to get their moral values back, and also with that, they're trying to get back their financial power without dealing with the dollar, because that's what fooled them in the beginning from the first place. So that's why the nations were mad. The nations are mad because they're foolish. That's what that word mad means. They're foolish because of the dollar. That's what made the nations foolish, because guess what? They're putting all their hope and dreams into something that doesn't mean anything, that does have no value. So now they're bamboozled. They're realizing they're being tricked by America. So are they physically mad? Are they emotionally mad? Yeah, sure. I mean, anybody that's been bamboozled, once they realize they've been bamboozled, they're going to get upset. They're going to be aggressive when they realize and how they've been hoodwinked, of course. So going back to Jeremiah 51:7, said Babylon has been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. So he's been the glory of all kingdoms in the Lord's hand, and the Lord's been manipulating these other nations with America. All right, that made the earth drunken. All right, so just like how Babylon was an example of what wickedness is and not how to partake in her ways, the Lord is telling it, and it says in verse 6, it says, "Flee out of the midst of Babylon and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity, for this is the time of the Lord's vengeance. He will render unto her recompense." All right. So now we're giving Babylon the power to do what it's doing right now. And all the nations that follow behind Babylon, America, all right, they're going to be partakers in her iniquity, because guess what? Going to verse 7 again, Babylon has been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunk of her wine, therefore the nations are mad, meaning foolish, bamboozled. All right. So going back to 2nd Ezra chapter 15, verse 46, it says, "And thou, Asia, that are partaker of the hope of Babylon, and art the glory of her persons," right? So they help America be rich, all right, and anything that America did, China did too. All right. It says, woe be unto thee, thou wretch, because thou hast made thyself like unto her, and hast decked thy daughters in whoredoms. All right, meaning the lesser countries that are up under China, that they might please and glory in thy lovers, which have always desired to commit whoredoms with thee. So anything that China was going to do, these other nations were going to, smaller nations were going to follow behind it. All right. Thou hast followed her that is hated in all her works and inventions, saith Yahweh. All right, so America's hated. All right, America's hated for all the works that it does, all the evil works that it does. But they've been having everybody fooled with the dollar to make it seem like they're coming in democracy, and democracy is nothing but demonocracy. All right, so they manipulated all these other nations with the dollar for them to retract on their moral standards and to Americanize the whole world. Scripture says Esau has made the whole world a wilderness. Mainly talking about Babylon, has made the whole world a wilderness, confused and desolate. All right. So that's what it is, man. China's upset and threatens that it will no longer take in the foolishness of America, man. They will no longer be fooled. And if America still tries to continue on with doing that, man, they're going to be bashed bloody. All right. Their heads is going to be bashed bloody. And that's just it. All right. So with that being said, I'd like to say, Ka Halayim La Yahweh, Ba Hashem Yahweh Shai, Ba Hashem, Harikah Kodash, Ma'amath. Double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone and my elder Herawan as well. Salutations to the Akim that are pushing this truth and sincerity and truth. And peace and blessings to the men, women, and children that believe in the name of Yahweh, Ba Hashem Yahweh Shai. Shalom.